Tractate Eiruvin, page 90, top of the page. You remember yesterday when we discussed the sage's opinion that each and every roof is independent domain. Now, roof, we said, it's Reshut HaYachid, it's a private domain. So, Sha'al, in that sense, Rami Bar Chama, you see here, yeah, Rami Bar Chama raised a question by Rami Bar Chama. שתי אמות בגג ושתי אמות בעמוד, מהו? If you remember, we mentioned the opinion of Rav yesterday in page 89a. He holds that according to the point of the sages, you cannot carry even within the domain of the roof, only within 4 cubits of each roof. So that's the only ability. Why? Because he holds that the same is every roof. It's have the din of Carmelit because it's open to another roof. It's totally open. So here he asks a question, and that's basically based on Rashi. Since he can hold that 2 cubits in each roof, what, in other words, if he carries an object 2 cubits on a roof and another 2 cubits on a pillar of 10 handbreadth high and 4 handbreadth wide, that it's basically connected to that roof, what's the halacha? So he answered and he said, Amaraba Maikami Bayale. What is your question? Now here I want to point it out in my book Birak Lomar Barashi Al Hashas. In my book I try to explain Rashi using the word Klomar, and he said Bit mi apshita de asir, which means at the beginning Rashi wants to tell us that Maika Mibayale, it's not a response to a question but a continuation of what Rabbah said. And before you're asking about combination of 2 cubits and 2 cubits in 2 places, it's clearly a prohibition of carrying between Carmelit to Reshut HaYachid, to private domain. So back to the Gemara. So they said,
I have a question.
Yes.
So the way I understood it though is Reshut HaYachid goes as all the way up.
Correct.
So wouldn't a roof over a Reshut HaYachid still be a Reshut HaYachid?
Okay.
Where's the Carmelit come in?
The roof hold the Carmelit because here we hold that since it's open, you see in the picture, it's totally open to the other parutz bimlo'o. It's open, so originally speaking, you're right. That roof is Reshut HaYachid, but because he opened to another roof, that
so
it's
since the buildings are joined,
that it's called Reshut HaSuralo, is domain that forbids to him. It's a separate domain that forbids for him. Then he turned that roof, for example, this one, as a Carmelit. So in other words,
so that's a Carmelit to the resident of the other.
Yes.
I got you, but it would be a Reshut HaYachid to the resident of that building?
Correct.
I understand, okay.
Right.
Now I understand.
So the big question is, do you allow to carry between Carmelit to Reshut HaYachid?
Understood, okay.
So the pillar has the din of Reshut HaYachid, of a private domain. And the Carmelit has the din, and the roof has the din of a Carmelit. Now, it's important to know that this pillar is not attached to the roof. It's in a separate domain of 4 handbreadth or more, because otherwise Tosfot said that it's a totally different story. It's totally forbidden to carry. But here, if it's a four handbreadth and more, then you enter the question of carrying between Karmelit and Reshut HaYachid. So now the Gemara said, "Rami Bar Chama agav churpei lo ayen be." That's typical. Rami Bar Chama, one of the sharp mind rabbi. And sometimes when you're dealing with very shrewd people, they ask things or say a statement that it's hard to comprehend because in their mind they are way advanced of others. So because he was so sharp in his question, it wasn't clear. Now the Gemara said, "Ela hachika mibayad." This is exactly what he meant to ask. Question is, "Shte amot begag u'shte amot be'achsadra ma'u?" You see picture number 319. He asks if you have 2 cubits on the roof of a house and 2 cubits on the slanted roof of a portico, a roofed structure without walls before a house belonging to someone else, what's the halacha? So Rashi said, "Ve'en la la'achsadra mechitza ve'en la pitikra deneima yored vesotem de'avira ki arzila b'shipua kagagim shelanu." So he said, you see, those roofs making a shipua in this way. Now, you see here the number 2 in each side. So it's like that's the portico, and that's the 2
post or
2 cubit in each side, which means the big question is, do you allow to carry within this arba amot 4 cubits in each side? For example, if you say that this portico doesn't carry the din Reshut HaYachid because it doesn't have the partition, or now here is the point. Mi amrinan kevan delo hai chaze ledira velo hai chaze ledira chada reshutai. Neither one of them can be a place of dwelling. It's not a flat roof, right? It's portico. So always remember the rules. When we have 2 owners, what happens if there are 2 separate owners? It's always forbid each other.
Right. Unless they join in it.
Right? Or dilma keivan de migag legag asir, migag leachsadra name asir. So maybe you say that since carry from a roof to another roof is prohibited, carrying from a roof to a portico is the same. Is prohibited because it's like a separate domain. So you see here, Rashi explained that the foundation of the sages that forbid carrying from one roof to another, it's because it's a separate residence below, or because change of ownership. It's a different ownership. The big question is how you treat it. If you look carefully, you see the structure of each domain. It's different.
So, I mean, the thing I think it's important that I'm taking out of this is it's possible to have the same area have a different status to 2 different people.
Correct.
So one could be a Reshut HaYachid to one person and a Karmelit to another.
Correct.
So, yeah, okay.
Okay, so אמר לו רב כהנא, לאו היינו דרמי בר חמא. So Rav Kahana said, no, before that, Bai Rav Bibi bar Abai, שתי עמוד בגג ושתי עמוד בחורבה מהו. So Rav Bibi said, what happened is, if you have 2 cubit in the roof and 2 cubit in the ruined property, do you allow to carry these 4 cubits from the top of the roof of the house to that room property of someone else? Rashi said that it applies inside the room property. Tosfot said that it's applied to the top of the roof of the portico. So the big question is, are you treated as something that open to public domain and the same as the Carmelit or not? Amar Rav Kahana respond to Rav Bibi Bar Abai, says, Lav Hainu de Rami Bar Chama. That's exactly what Rami Bar Chama said. That the issue is if you have a portico and you have a regular roof, how you can carry. So Amar Rav Bibi Bar Abai, V'chi me'acher atai untzai, which means, no, it's not the same question. Why you try to compare it to a question that I asked by someone else? That's, by the way, Rashi way of understanding. Achsadra lo chazia ledira, v'chuva chazia ledira. He said, if you talk about achsadra, so it's a portico. You cannot dwell there. It's not a place of residence. So therefore, Rabbi Bar Chama asked if it's considering one domain with the roof, and you can carry from that domain to the roof within the 4 cubit, or the room property. Room property you can use for dwelling. So you may say that you cannot carry from a room property to the roof, even within the 4 cubit. The same way as you cannot carry from the roof of the house to the roof of another house. That's the sage's opinion. So they said, "V'chi me'achar dechazia ledira, ma'ika mibayalei." So if you tell me that the room property you treated as a regular property that people can dwell there, so for sure you cannot carry there. So what is the question of Rav Kahana? So the Gemara said, "Im timtze lomar ka'amar." So Rashi here goes and he said, "Im timtze lomar ka'amar," using the word klomar, and I explained it in my book. Lo pshita leRav Bibi ledeh v'chuva chazia ledira. So it's like Rav Bibi contradicting himself. So basically, Rashi wants to find like a middle ground between the two. Is that mean that this room property is capable for dwelling or not? It's question how you treated this statement. Either you said that it's one side of Rami Bar Chama, or the new way of asking. So he said, "Im timtze lomar achsadia lo chazeh ledira, chuva lo chazeh ledira." Either you tell me that since the portico, it's not one domain with the roof of the house, so you can carry from that portico to the roof. So meaning that the prohibition against carry from one roof to another roof is depend in the people who dwell and not change of ownership. Why? Because you just said that the room property is still good for dwelling. Or Dilma, you may say that you can carry there. Hashta mi'aled badiorin teiku. So since now there is a place that it's room, people not dwelling there. So in other words, if in a portico it's not good, so for sure in a regular dwelling place is not good. So here the question is, do you treat it as a two separate domain or not? So Teiku, as you know, we said it many times that we don't find any resolution to the dilemma, that is stand unsolved, and we call it Tishbi Yetaretz Kushiyot Ve'abayot, which we believe the end of the days we have an answer to those questions. Now we go to the new sugya, which is the other way around, just everything turn around, which means early we said in 89 that Rav Shmuel has a disputation if, according to the sages, you cannot carry from one roof to another roof because it's a separate domain. So, do you allow to carry within the roof itself or not? Only in the 4 cubits. So here he says Gagin Hashavim LeRabbi Meir. So he said if you have 2 roofs that basically are equal, which means one, like I showed you at the early part of the shiur from the Mishnah, if you have 2 roofs that they are equal in their side, which means no one of them higher than 10 handbreadth from the other, so it's basically called Gaga Samuch Lirshut Harabim. It's like a roof that attached to public domain. So according to Rabbi Meir in the Mishnah, it's all considering one domain, and you can carry from one to another. The Gag Yechidi, and if you have an independent roof that's not attached to others, LeRabanan. So it means even according to our sages that they hold that you cannot carry from one roof to another. Rav Amar mutar letaltel bechulo, u'Shmuel Amar en metaltelim bo ela be'arba. So Rav said that you can carry for the entire roof. Shmuel said only the 4 cubit. So here the Gemara asks, now we need to understand this. Said Rav Amar mutar letaltel bechulo kasher Rav de Rav. Now we go the other way around. Rav said that he can carry all the domain of the roof. So what he said earlier, that you allow only in the 4 cubit. Now he said that in the entire domain. So the Gemara said, Hatam lo min kira mechitzta. Because you don't see the partition. So we hold the same as they each of them open to a place that is forbidden to the other, which means like it's we treated it as a Carmelite, and you cannot carry only in the 4 cubits. Even you have a partition between the houses and the bottom. Hacha min kera mechitzata. But here in individual roof, according to the sages, or in the roof that it's equal according to Rabbi Meir, so you can carry it for the entire roof, even it doesn't have a partition. So he said, ושמואל אמר אין מטלטלים בו אלא ב4 אמות, קשיא דשמואל עד דשמואל. And according to Shmuel, he said that you not carried only in the 4 cubits. So now he is just, we turn everything around. So it's opposite what he said earlier, because here he said earlier that you can carry in the entire roof, and here he forbids, and he said even in the 4 cubits you cannot carry. So here there's a Tosfot here, and more, we don't have the time. Anyway, Hatam, the Gemara respond, Hatam lo have yoter mibeit sa'atayim, Hacha have yoter mibeit sa'atayim. Over there we treated the roof that it's not exceeded more than beit sa'atayim. So if it's a greater than the beit sa'atayim, so you can carry for the entire roof. But here it's one roof that according to the sages is exceeded more than beit sa'atayim. So therefore you cannot compare. So even that those roofs have partition around them, we hold the Gudasik. You remember the Gudasik? Gudasik, we hold that it goes all the way, right?
Well,
the minutes, right?
Well, private domain does, goes all the way to the
yeah. So he said, "V'hane mechitzot lemata avidan, lemala lo avidan." So they made this partition on the bottom, that people dwelling on the house were erected for use below as petition for the resident itself, but they are not erected to serve as partition for use of roof above. So even the walls have use, in a sense you use them as extending upward, so they can constitute as surrounding partitions for the roof. The legal status of the roof is like that an enclosure greater than 2 beit sa'atayim, that was not enclosure from the outside of the purpose of the resident. הנה מחיצות למעלה אבידן למעלה לאבידן קרפף יותר מבית סעתיים שלו הוקף לדירה, וכל קרפף יותר מבית סעתיים שלו הוקף לדירה, הם נטלים בו אלא בארבע. So he said, here is the principle, that any enclosure greater than beit sa'atayim, the 2 se'ah, that was not enclosure from the outset for the purpose of the resident, one may move an object in it only with 4 cubits. So Rashi said that according to the Rav who allowed to carry in the entire roof, he hold that those roofs, it's considering a mukafim ladira, that is around for the purpose of the residence, by having this partition on the bottom. So we hold, since that good asik, you can go, it's like private that go up high. So he said, this is the second one. Now we'll go to the third one. The third one, which is the third disputation between Rav and Shmuel in this regard. Itmar, Sfina. Here we ask a question regards to a large ship. So the question is, large ship it's much more than beit sa'atayim. That's what Rashi explained here. And Tosfot said that if the ship is flat, that they have more than beit sa'atayim, so you allowed to carry there even according to Shmuel. That's what Tosfot said. Rav Amar mutar letaltel bechula. So in other words, the question is, Sfina mukefet ledira or not? If Sfina is considering as you have the partition like a regular resident or not? So Rav said you can go ahead and carry, move an object in the entire ship. So it's all one domain. Shmuel Amar en metaltelim ba ela be'arba. Shmuel said you can go only in the 4 cubits. Now the Gemara elaborate on this machloket. Rav Amar mutar letaltel bechula. Rav who said that you can carry in the entire, throughout the boat, 90b, the ha'ika mechitzata, because the boat has a partition, so even it's exceeded more than beit sa'atayim, it's basically made as a residence, and we hold it as a private domain. ושמואל אמר, אין מטלטלים בה אלא ב4 אמות מחיצות להבריח מים נשואיות. Shmuel said that it's not for a residence. The only purpose of this mechitzot, the Geon Yaakov explained it, and you see it also in the Tosfot Arosh. He said that the idea it's maintain the support of the sheep, which means the using of resident is just a secondary purpose. The key purpose is to support the sheep. So the whole idea of Rabbi Zera prohibits carrying in the entire boat, even the boat is smaller than 2 beit se'ah, so he basically not speak about residents at all. But Tosfot here is said that those partitions used, you see sometimes in a boat, that in order to move out water. So he said, Amar le Rav Chia bar Yosef leShmuel hilcheta kvatach or hilcheta kirav. What's the final word? Amar le hilcheta kirav, which means he basically backed off. We hold that that's the halacha. Said Amar Rav Gidla, which means that you can go ahead and carry for the entire boat, and I changed my mind. אמר רב חייא בר יוסף, ומודה רב, when Rav said that you can carry the entire boat, שאם כפאה על פיה, that if he overturned the ship onto its mouth, which means it's more than 10 handbreadth high. It's like you see it here in the city when there's a winter time. They're taking the boat and put it upside down, right? שאין מטלטלים בה אלא בארבע אמות, that you can move an object on it only within 4 cubits. Even that this ship is above 10 handbreadth or more. כפאה למאי. So he asked, for what purpose was the ship overturned? אילי מלדו תחתיה. If he said, the reason is that you can reside beneath it. So he said, מה ישנה מגג יחידי? So what is the difference between it and an isolated roof? So it's no different, because we hold that overturned ship should in every sense be that of the house. So you should allow to carry throughout the entire ship. אלא שכפאה לזופתה, which means he wants to, we did it to do what? You see it a lot
to
here?
put pitch and tar, or to paint the bottom. Pitch and tar in those times to make sure that it doesn't leak when they put it back in the water.
Correct.
Yep.
So here in our city you see it a lot.
Absolutely.
So even you said, in the regular partition you said Gudasik. Here, because it's more than Beitzah time, and he didn't make it for a residence, so we hold it the same as Carmelit, and you can carry it only in the 4 cubits. That's Rashi. The Bet Yosef in Shin Samech Bet 362 hold that that apply only on the side, but under you can carry, because all this petition made for dwelling. But it's a machloket. The Bach disagree with the Beit Yosef, etc. Anyway, you can look and see in the Orach Chaim Shin Samech Bet 362. Rav Ashi matne la seifa. Rav Ashi teach Shmuel acceptance of Rav opinion view, that's the Ritva said, according to the asfina, which means the with regard to a sheep. V'Rav Acha b'rei derava matne la ach sadra, and Rav Acha, son of Rava, teach with regard to a portico. So, which means he disagree and he hold that he learned this question and answers in regard to a different subject. The Itma, Achsadra, a portico, Bebika, that was located in the valley, like a place that it's open, that we hold it the same as Carmeli.
Does it say portico there or pavilion?
By me it's portico, but what by you? Portico?
Portico.
Yeah, well here it says it's a pavilion, which sort of makes a little more sense, because a portico is normally like a sort of an attachment to a building that serves as like an entrance to that building, whereas a pavilion, from what I understand, is just basically like a flat roof with no sides. That's
Rabbi Steinsaltz in his book, in his Gemara, I have here today the Rabbi Steinsaltz Gemara.
Yeah.
So he said here, Achsadra portico, according to Rashi, the portico mentioned here is open on all sides, as it consists merely of 4 posts and a roof.
I call that a pavilion, not a portico.
Tosfot by contrast maintain that this portico, like all other mentioned by the sages, is closed on 3 sides and merely open on the 4th side.
Right.
Okay, you can call it pavilion.
That's why, yeah, I agree with I agree with that it's a
That's
portico. Yep. So
anyway,
yep.
so they said, רב אמר מותר לטלטל בחולה, ושמואל אמר אין מטלטלים בה אלא בארבע, in 4 cubits. רב אמר מותר לטלטל בחולה, אמרינן פי תקרה, יורד וסותם. We said at the edge of the roof, descend to the ground and seal the portico on all sides. So it basically make it a private domain. ושמואל אמר אין מטלטלים אלא בארבע, לא אמרינן פי תקרה, יורד וסותם. So Shmuel said we'll move an object only 4 cubits, because we don't say the edge of the roof descends to the ground and seal the portico. So therefore you cannot carry only in a 4 cubits. So that's basically the question that he asked Shmuel. And Shmuel said that halacha is according to the Rav that you can carry for the entire pavilion or portico, and he changed his mind that only in the 4 cubit. ורב אליבא דרב מאיר ליטלטל מגג לחצר. According to Rav, that all the roof is the same as a private domain. So why Rab Meir forbids to carry from the roof to the courtyard? It's both considering a private domain, and you should carry from one to another. Because Rashi explains, since the roof is considering a carmelite, so we cannot carry to the yard, because the yard is a private domain. So he said, Gzera mishum de Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dimi. So it's a decree of Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dimi that he said that one may not transfer object between two halachically equivalent but physically distinct domain 10 or more handbreadth high. So he said, since this roof is higher in a 10 handbreadth, so therefore that's the decree. So the Tosfot and the Ritva try to say that the question is how do you compare the two? ושמואל אמר אליבא דרבנן ניטלטל מגג לקרפף, and Shmuel that said this opinion according to the sages you're allowed to move an object from an isolated roof to enclosure within 4 cubits of the roof. Why the sages rule that the roof and the enclosure are separate domain and carry from one to another is prohibited? אמר רבא בר אולה גזירה שמא יפחת הגג. Now you see a picture number 320, and Rashi said ויחסר מבית צעתיים ויקצרו גם את הבית למידת הגג מלמטה ויתנו המחיצה. This is the roof. This part it's reduced so that the area of the roof diminished to less than 2 Beit Seah. That's the Beit Seah now, it's diminished. So we assume that the status of private domain, so you cannot carry between private domain and the enclosure. This is Yipachet Agag, and this is Yikatzu et Abayit. Here is the Karpaf, the enclosure. So they said, Yache mikarpaf lekarpaf nami. So if that's the case, so one should also not permitted to move from one enclosure to another. Name lo italtel said dilma mipchit ve'atiletel tulei. So maybe one of the petition of those karpifot reduced and it's become a private domain and they may be carried. Hatam imipchit min kera le milta. Hacha imipchit lo minkera milta. Which means over there If the enclosure is diminished, the matter is conspicuous, as well as clearly visible. But here, if the roof is diminished, it's not conspicuous, and the roof does not have a wall. Now the Gemara back to the מחלוקת תנאים. בסדר, אמר רב יהודה, כשתמצא לומר לדברי רב מאיר גגין רשות לעצמן, חצרות רשות לעצמן. If you go by the Rab Meir that said that roof domain, separate domain, independent domain, and a courtyard domain independently, so he said karpifot reshut לעצמן. So basically you can go and they use the enclosures domain in and of themselves. So one can carry from one enclosure to another. So Rashi here explains that even Rab Meir did not mention in the Mishnah only roofs, but because he holds that one person can carry to the other roof, so it means that the change of the ownership, it's not the cause of separation between the domain. It's no difference in that view between carry from one roof to another, or from one courtyard to another, or one enclosure to another. Page 91, just short reading. לדברי חכמים גגים וחצרות רשות אחת, קרפפות רשות אחת הם. לדברי רבי שמעון כולם רשות אחת הם. So if you go by the sages in the Mishnah that say that each roof is independent domain and you cannot carry from one roof to another, because they hold the same way as is a separate residence on the bottom, the same as the top, so therefore the roof and the courtyard is considering one domain, and also in the enclosures also one domain. And לדברי רבי שמעון כולם רשות אחת הם. So according to דברי רבי שמעון, all of them, the roof, the courtyard and the enclosures are one domain, so it's permitted to carry between any of them. Tanya kvatei derav v'tanya kvatei derav Yuda. So Braita can taught according to the opinion of Rav, and the Braita was taught according to the opinion of Yehuda. So now we explain it. תניא כבתי דרב כל גאות העיר רשות אחת הן, ואסור לעלות ולהוריד מן הגגים לחצר ומן החצר לגגים. So all the roof of the city is considering one domain, and you can carry from one another. But since the roof is 10 handbreadth high, so you have this gzera, this decree of tel ברשות הרבים, וכלים שבתו בחצר, מותר להם בחצר. So those utensils that was at the beginning of Shabbat in the yard, can carry them in the courtyard, even they don't make the Eruv together. בגגין, מותר לתלם בגגין, בלבד שלא יגג גבוה 10 או נמוך 10 דברי רב מאיר. You can carry in the roof as long as one doesn't have the 10 handbreadth or less than that. That's the word of רב מאיר. אנחנו אומרים כל אחד ואחד רשות לעצמו. The sages said that each of them it's independent domain. ואין מטלטלים לו בארבע. You cannot carry in each of those roofs only within 4 cubits, and that's the word of Rav, because according to the sages you don't carry on the roof only within the 4 cubits. תניא כבתי דרב יהודה אמר רבי, which is רבי יהודה הנשיא, כשהיינו לומדים תורה אצל רבי שמעון בתקוע, when we studied Torah by רבי שמעון in the city תקוע, היינו מעלים שמן ואלונתית מגג לגג, מחצר לחצר, ומחצר לחצר, ומחצר לכרפה, ומכרפה לכרפה אחרת, עד שהיינו מגיעים אצל מים שהיינו רוחצים בו. So it means they used to go, like you see in those movies, that they're running from between one roof to another, right? Etc. Go on the plane, you saw all these things. So he said, one carry oil for smearing and towel for dyeing, and from roof to courtyard, from courtyard to courtyard, from courtyard to enclosure, and from the enclosure to enclosure. So basically, to refrain from carrying in a prohibited area until you reach the spring, which will bathe, because otherwise you cannot carry. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda said to them, Maaseh b'shat asakana, that it was a decree that we cannot use the Sefer Torah. So what do? We want to read the Torah. So he said, והיינו מעלים ספר תורה מחצר לגג ומגג לחצר ומחצר לקרפף לקרות בו. Wow. It reminds us the story of the Moranos. You remember we studied it?
Mm-hmm.
So if you put a Sefer Torah in the yard, so it's like utensils that you have in the yard. So what they do, in order to circumvent the system, they basically they carry the Torah scroll from courtyard to roof, and from the roof to courtyard, and from courtyard to enclosure, and it's all in order to read it. So even the decree wasn't for carrying, but because it was a dangerous time, and they didn't want to stop from reading the Torah, so they carry it for the mitzvah. Even the Magen Avraham in Orach Chaim Shin Zayin 307, he said that it's an issue to carry outside of the Eruv to fulfill mitzvah, like in Rosh Hashanah blowing the shofar, even by a non-Jew. But here you see that they are allowed to do it in order to fulfill the mitzvah of reading the Torah. So it's Machzit HaShekel there explain it. But anyway, אמרו לו, the sages said to Rabbi Yehuda, אין שעת הסכנה ראיה. So they said you cannot bring a proof that they are allowed to do it at the time of dangers. So, but because that's not a proof to a regular Shabbat circumstance. That's a situation that happened hopefully only in the past. Now go to a practical halachot. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 362, Tiltul besfina. One wants to carry in the boat, even a large boat. So he said it is permitted to carry in a boat, even is more than 2 beit se'ah, as it's considered to be enclosure for the purpose of the residence. And as you remember, even Shmuel agreed with Rav in this halakha. We also discussed this fina fucha, overturned ship. It says if a boat is overturned, enabling one to live beneath it, it is permitted to carry even on the underside of the boat, which then serve as a roof of this house. It's a private domain. However, if it's overturned for it to be tarred, and its area is greater than 2 beit se'ah, one may carry only 4 cubits beneath it. We talk about portico, achsadra babik'ah. So this is the Rambam, Sefer Zmanim Ilchot Shabbat, chapter 17. It is permitted to carry in a portico, or you call it pavilion, with 3 walls and a roof that is located in a field, based on application of the principle. The edge of the roof descends and seals to the 4th side. And the last one we talk about is a rare circumstance, which is they carry the Sefer Torah in the time of dangers, and we said that in the time of dangers there is no proof, because at the time of danger it is permitted to carry even in places where carrying is ordinarily prohibited by rabbinic law.
Azamru